Have you ever, looked at someone who has survived in a notoriously brutal, high-turnover industry for decades, and you just wonder, how on earth are they still standing?
Oh, yeah. Because you see these rare individuals who don't just, survive the grind, but they actively evolve,
Right.
while everyone else around them from the old days has either burned out, faded away, or just completely quit.
Yeah, it's an incredibly rare trait. And when you find someone like that, they usually have a very specific, almost hidden architecture to their lives.
Absolutely. Something that allows for that kind of longevity.
Yeah.
It is never just luck.
No, never.
It requires an underlying mechanism that most people just never see.
And uncovering those hidden mechanisms is exactly what we have for you today. So for you listening right now, today we are taking a deep dive into a stack of sources you sent us.
Which is really a fascinating pile of documents.
It is. We're specifically focusing on the historical records and Wikipedia archives of the musician Billy Graziadei.
Right.
Now, if you are familiar with the heavy music scene, you definitely know the name. But our mission today isn't just to, list off his discography.
No, that would be missing the point entirely.
Exactly. We're going to extract the exact mechanisms of his survival. We are unpacking the anatomy of a lifelong creative survivor.
Right. Exploring what it takes to remain the absolute only continuous member of a legendary band since 1987.
Yeah, 1987.
While constantly reinventing yourself across completely different genres.
Okay, let's unpack this.
And, for you listening, whether you are a diehard metal fan or you have literally never intentionally listened to a distorted guitar in your entire life.
Which is probably some of you.
Right, this still matters because what we are really looking at here is a masterclass in longevity, in adaptability, and in the sheer grueling discipline required to thrive in any fast-paced industry.
Yeah.
The principles of survival we are about to discuss are entirely universal.
Totally. But to understand how someone evolves over 30 years, we have to start at the foundation, right?
The anchor.
Exactly. Before all the genre-hopping spin-offs, before the solo projects, we have to look at the core identity he built. And according to our sources, that takes us all the way back to 1987.
A very different era.
Yeah, so Graziadei joins a band called Biohazard alongside Evan Seinfeld, Anthony Mio, and Bobby Hamble.
Right, in the late 80s in New York City, which was a very specific, highly pressurized time and place in music history.
Oh, absolutely. And their sound was undeniably aggressive. To break this down, if you aren't familiar with the terminology, we're talking about hardcore punk, crossover thrash, and groove metal.
It's a massive wall of sound.
It really is. Basically, imagine taking the lightning-fast, raw, anti-establishment energy of punk rock
Right.
and colliding it head-on with the heavy, complex, churning guitar riffs of heavy metal, and then eventually adding elements of rap.
Yeah, actually rhyming over these incredibly heavy rhythmic grooves.
It's a genre designed to literally hit you right in the chest.
Exactly. But the source material highlights something really specific about their lyrical content that set them apart from the pack.
Yeah, they weren't just singing about typical heavy metal tropes. They were taking on the gritty realities of inner-city New York life.
Right, heavily promoting tolerance.
Speaking out against racism and fiercely opposing drug abuse. And actually, just as a quick reminder for you listening, as we pull from these sources, we're simply reporting on the band's historical messaging, right?
Right, just the historical record.
Yeah, we aren't taking a stance or endorsing any specific political or social viewpoints ourselves, but objectively looking at the text, their lyrics were laser-focused on those urban realities.
It's a very distinct, constructive message.
It is, and the way I see it, to put this in perspective, you almost have to think about early Biohazard as a team of aggressive urban journalists.
Oh, I like that.
Right. Instead of writing a standard, neatly formatted op-ed for a Sunday newspaper about the struggles of the city, they took those exact same harsh, street-level realities and turned them into these massive crossover thrash anthems.
Right, reporting from the pavement.
Exactly. Reporting from the pavement, but using a stack of amplifiers to deliver the broadcast.
That is a brilliant way to frame it. And what's fascinating here is the juxtaposition.
Yeah.
You have this incredibly harsh, aggressive sonic landscape. I mean, hardcore punk and metal are genres traditionally associated by the mainstream with either pure, unbridled anger,
Right.
or blind rebellion, or sometimes even a kind of dark nihilism.
Yeah, definitely.
But Graziadei and his bandmates took that sonic aggression and paired it with highly constructive, positive social messages.
It's like a Trojan horse of positivity wrapped in barbed wire.
I love that image. And by doing that, they shattered the stereotypes of their own genre. It forces the listener to actually engage with the material.
Right, you can't just passively listen.
No, you are hit with this intense, visceral groove metal, but the message is demanding that you think critically about your environment, about the concept of tolerance,
Yeah.
about the very real destruction caused by drug abuse in your neighborhood. Artistically, marrying that highly specific, ethical message to that unapologetically heavy sound is what anchored his career.
It gave all that musical aggression a very clear purpose.
Exactly.
A purpose that clearly resonated, because that anchor held them steady through decades of industry turbulence. But here's the thing about longevity.
Okay.
You can't just shout a powerful message into the void for 30 years without some kind of infrastructure to support it.
No, you'll burn out.
Right. And this is the part of his story that really caught my attention. We move from the message of the music to the actual physical architecture required to sustain it.
Ah, the evolution of his recording studio.
Yes, because to maintain an authentic voice over decades, an artist eventually needs total control over their creative space.
Yeah, they have to own it.
Graziadei didn't just play the music. He literally built the environments where the music was made. And the timeline of these studios is incredible.
Let's trace it.
Okay, so let's look at the progression. It's the year 2000. The music industry is shifting, and the band decides to renovate a rehearsal space in downtown Brooklyn into a digital recording studio.
Right.
And they name it, wait for it, Rat Piss Studios.
A deeply evocative, quintessentially gritty Brooklyn name.
It paints a very specific picture.
It really does.
You can almost smell the authenticity and the rodent urine.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But then, fast forward to 2005, they are working on their 8th studio album, Means to an End, and they leave Rat Piss behind.
A wise move.
Right. They upgrade to a larger but crucially less expensive space in South Amboy, New Jersey.
Getting out of the city.
Exactly. And they call it Underground Sound Studios. And then finally, in 2010, Graziadei moves his whole operation out west to Los Angeles, and he rebrands it as Firewater Studios, which is a professional facility that he owns outright. So here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Does changing your physical creative environment from a gritty Brooklyn room named after rat urine to a professional studio in LA fundamentally change the art you produce?
Well, it is the classic debate of environment versus essence.
Yeah.
But I would argue that in this specific case, it doesn't change the art. It actually preserves it.
Oh, really?
Yes. The business acumen behind this evolution is exactly why he is still a working artist today.
But wait, hold on. Let me push back on that for a second.
Sure.
Doesn't owning your own studio sometimes, backfire on an artist?
How so?
Well, without the ticking clock of an expensive hourly rate breathing down your neck, couldn't a band just noodle around forever?
The endless perfectionism.
Yeah. I feel like that financial constraint, that pressure is necessary for some artists to actually finish an album. Does owning the sandbox sometimes make you lazy?
It absolutely can if you lack discipline. And we will definitely get to his discipline in a moment. But you have to understand the economic realities of the music industry to see why this was a masterstroke.
Right.
Renting studio time is like riding in a taxi in heavy gridlock traffic.
Ooh, that's a stressful feeling.
It is. You are just sitting there staring at the meter going up and up while you are going nowhere. That pressure destroys so many bands. It forces compromises.
Because they just run out of money.
Exactly. So by renovating their own space in 2000, then making the calculated financial move to New Jersey in 2005 for their 8th album to get more space for less money.
Yeah.
And finally establishing Firewater Studios in LA. He finally bought the car.
He stopped paying the taxi meter.
Precisely. Controlling the means of production is the ultimate defense against industry burnout. When you own the studio, that paralyzing ticking clock stops.
Right.
You can experiment. You can fail without going bankrupt. It allows an artist to pivot from merely being a disposable participant in the music industry to actually becoming a foundational pillar of it.
Wow, yeah.
He controls the infrastructure.
And because he owned the infrastructure, he didn't have to just, build the exact same heavy metal sandcastle over and over again.
No, he had the freedom to branch out.
Which brings us to his collaborations. Once he owned his own space, the genre walls completely dissolved.
They did.
He didn't have to stay strictly in his hardcore lane. He became a restless, serial collaborator.
And the sheer variety of projects he took on is staggering when you look at the source material.
It really is. And if we group these together, you see two distinct sides of his creativity.
Right.
On one hand, you have him doubling down on heavy music, but in entirely new configurations. Like in 2004, he forms a band called Suicide City with members of Graziadei and Kitty.
A solid crossover project.
Yeah. Then in 2005, he steps into heavy metal royalty territory. He participates in Roadrunner United.
Oh, right. That was a massive collaborative project celebrating Roadrunner records.
Exactly. And he performs the Biohazard song Punishment alongside absolute legends from Fear Factory, Sepultura, Machine Head, and Slipknot.
That's quite a lineup.
It's huge. Then, in 2017, he forms Powerflow, which is this incredible hybrid of metal and hip-hop, teaming up with Sendog from Cypress Hill.
He is constantly surrounding himself with different types of heavy musicians.
Right. And even acts as like a humble hired gun. In 2010, he fills in on guitar for the Boston hardcore band Blood for Blood.
Just stepping in.
Yeah, he's in fronting the band. He's just stepping in to help out, which shows zero ego.
Uh-huh.
But buried in this source text is the wildest pivot of all.
Oh, the side project.
Yes.
Yeah.
Alongside all this aggressive metal, he secretly formed a trip-hop project.
The Blue Project.
Yes. A project named Blue with Jennifer Behr, the band Hilo. And if you aren't familiar with trip-hop, let me explain just how crazy this is.
It is a massive departure.
Trip-hop is this hypnotic, slow, atmospheric blend of electronic beats, heavy bass, and moody vocals. It is the absolute sonic opposite of the 200 beat per minute aggressive screaming guitars he is known for.
Completely different.
It requires a completely different musical vocabulary.
Yeah.
And they wrote and recorded roughly 20 songs together.
Wow.
But Behr left for Los Angeles to pursue an art career. The project dissolved, and only 3 demo tracks survived. The rest remains unreleased.
Lost to time.
I was genuinely shocked reading this. To me, discovering this hardcore pioneer had a secret trip-hop project is exactly like finding out that Gordon Ramsay secretly runs a quaint little vegan cupcake bakery on the weekends.
That is quite the visual.
Right. It completely shatters your perception of the brand.
It does shatter the conventional brand, certainly. But if we connect this to the bigger picture, this is the hallmark of a true, lifelong creative.
Yeah.
True creatives are ultimately driven by an insatiable curiosity, not by strict genre loyalty.
Curiosity over loyalty. I like that frame.
It is essential for survival. If you only ever play one style of music, if you only ever flex one creative muscle, you stagnate.
You burn out.
You become a caricature of yourself. His ability to blend into rap metal with Cypress Hill alumni, step in as a rhythm guitarist for a Boston hardcore band, and then completely switch gears to write atmospheric electronic trip-hop shows a profound, deep-rooted musical fluency.
Yeah, he's not just a guy who knows how to play loud and fast.
Exactly. He understands the intricate mechanics of rhythm, pacing, and emotional tone across the entire musical spectrum. And again, this circles back to the infrastructure.
Right.
Having his own studio facilitates that exact curiosity.
Because he doesn't have an A&R guy from a record label looking over his shoulder.
That's on his watch.
Yeah, tapping his watch, asking how a trip-hop track is going to sell to a metal audience. You can explore those tangents safely.
Exactly. The exploration becomes part of the daily practice rather than a risky financial gamble.
But, you know, all of this collaboration, all of this building of studios, playing in supergroups, and jumping between bands, it was all leading somewhere.
It was building towards something.
Yeah. All these roads, all these experiments eventually pointed him toward the one frontier he actually hadn't fully explored yet, stepping out entirely under his own name.
The solo projects in his later career.
Right. In 2018, he launches his solo project, simply called Billy Bio. He releases his first solo album, Feed the Fire, in 2018.
Okay.
And then follows it up with Leaders and Liars in 2022. He's out there touring with acts like Life of Agony and Madball.
Still grinding.
Still grinding. And right around the same time, in 2019, he forms an industrial crossover project called Viral, releasing a single called Disorder and going on a European tour with the German industrial band Die Krupps.
That's a heavy schedule.
It is. Now think about the timeline here. Why wait until 2018 to launch Billy Bio? He is launching a brand new solo career, fronting new bands, and heading out on grueling European club and festival tours in his late 40s and into his 50s.
Which is an age when most musicians in his genre are either retiring or just lazily playing the hits from 30 years ago on a reunion tour.
Exactly. By waiting until his 50s, he bypassed the trap of trying to compete with his 20-year-old self.
He had a new foundation.
Right. He already had the infrastructure, he had the network, he had the studio. His solo leap wasn't some desperate grab for fame. It was a calculated expansion of his empire.
Well said.
But doing that, Reestablishing a brand from scratch at that age requires a staggering level of internal discipline.
Yeah.
And according to the source material, the secret to that discipline was cultivated entirely outside of the recording studio.
Ah, yes. You're referring to his extensive martial arts background.
Yes. Graziadei has been training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for years. He actually holds a black belt.
Which is no small feat.
No. And we aren't talking about a casual weekend hobby here.
Mm.
He trains under UFC co-founder Rory and Gracie and his sons, Ryan and Renner, at the legendary Gracie Academy in Torrance, California.
The absolute mecca of jiu-jitsu.
It is. So what does this all mean? I have a theory here, and I want you to tell me if I'm off base.
Let's hear it.
You have this guy operating in the chaotic, volatile world of music for decades, but he survives. I think the pressure cooker environment of hardcore music is exactly like the physical mechanics of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
That's interesting. How so? And unpack the mechanics of that for me.
Okay, think about what happens on a Jiu-Jitsu mat. You have someone who might be 50 pounds heavier than you, literally sitting on your chest.
Right.
The physical weight is crushing you. You can't breathe. The natural human instinct is to thrash around, to panic, to spend all your energy trying to bench press them off you.
Which never works.
Exactly. If you do that, you gas out and you lose. To survive Jiu-Jitsu, you have to stay incredibly calm under that crushing weight. You have to conserve your energy, control your breathing, and look for the tiny strategic sweep or escape.
Yeah.
And to me, that is exactly like managing band dynamics, or dealing with a failing record label, or facing the exhaustion of a 9-month tour. It is all about breathing under immense pressure.
This raises an important question. How much of our professional endurance is actually fueled by the physical and mental practices we cultivate entirely outside of our day jobs?
Oh, that's a great point.
Because your theory is spot on. The intersection of martial arts and long-term career survival is profound here. Earning a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, especially under the Gracie family, takes years of grinding, ego-destroying discipline.
You had to literally tap out constantly.
Yes, you have to learn to be comfortable with profound discomfort.
You literally get choked out, you tap the mat, you swallow your pride, and you come back the next day to try again.
Precisely.
Yeah.
You learn how to systematically solve highly complex problems while under extreme physical and mental duress.
Yeah.
That exact same discipline, that ability to check your ego at the door, to keep showing up after a defeat, is the mechanism. It is very likely the exact reason why he is the only continuous member of Biohazard since 1987.
Well, yeah.
Band dynamics are notoriously volatile. The music industry is built on shifting sands, but a martial artist's mindset is built on resilience, situational awareness, and steady, incremental progress.
It makes so much sense when you look at the whole picture. He took the resilience he learned on the mats in Torrance, California, and applied it to every stage, every studio build, and every chaotic band lineup he ever dealt with.
Exactly.
It's all the exact same practice, just applied in different arenas.
It really is a unified philosophy. So as we synthesize this deep dive into Graziadei's career, the main takeaways for you listening are very clear.
Yeah, let's break them down.
Longevity in any competitive field isn't just about stubbornness or luck or just sticking around long enough. It requires 3 very distinct pillars. First, you have to build your own infrastructure.
Like the studios.
Just like his evolution from a rehearsal space called Rat Piss to owning Firewater Studios in LA, you have to control your own tools so you aren't beholden to the industry's ticking clock.
Right. And second, you have to remain endlessly curious. Don't get trapped by your own past success or the expectations of your specific genre. Go build the musical equivalent of a trip-hop side project, even if nobody ever hears it. Let your curiosity, not your ego, drive your collaborations.
And third, you must maintain immense personal discipline.
Yeah.
Find a practice entirely outside of your professional work like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu that teaches you how to survive under crushing pressure, how to solve problems systematically, and how to keep your ego in check.
That is the true anatomy of a creative survivor.
Absolutely.
But before we wrap up today, I want to leave you with a brand new thought to ponder. Something entirely separate from the discipline and the success we just discussed.
Okay.
Think back to those lost projects we mentioned, like those 17 unreleased trip-hop tracks from the Blue Project.
Right, the ones that just vanished.
Exactly. They were fully written, they were recorded, and then they just vanished into the ether.
Yeah.
And every creative person has a graveyard of ideas like that.
Oh, for sure.
What hidden, failed, or completely abandoned projects do you currently have locked away on your own mental hard drive? And more importantly, how are those unseen, seemingly failed efforts secretly shaping the work you actually put out into the world today?
That is a fascinating question to carry with you as you evaluate your own creative journey.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.